It's only when you listen back, and sometimes you need to get somebody else to listen back for you to bring in some perspective and some reality. You've got to want to receive the feedback, and you've got to want to listen with the intention of growing and learning.
Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And again, this week you have Steve and I, Ronan. And it's really, really hot in Ireland right now. Like we're experiencing temperatures that we don't normally experience. So it's quite warm in this cap. You can see I'm even perspiring a little bit. But apart from that, we are going to talk about a really hot topic today, just because the weather is so good. And we're going to talk about mindset, one of our favorite topics, and it's always a hot one. Often it's too hot to handle for most people, but we're going to give it a lash, aren't we, Steve?
We're going to give it a lash, Frank. Absolutely. And finally, we're getting, weather that, is more normal.
I think you brought it back from Oz with you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely, what do you guys, we call it a barbecue, you call it a Barbie, I think. Is that right?
Well, this is it's starting to warm up. It's only 26 degrees. We can maybe start putting our shorts on now.
Yeah, but it's Barbie weather now, isn't it? That's what you call this. Yeah, Barbie weather. So
barbecue.
So we can have a barbecue. And we're not talking about that doll that Mattel makes, right?
No, because we'd have to pay royalties if we did that. Probably. We wouldn't want to be doing that.
Okay.
So mindset, let's get back onto mindset, which really is, shapes everything. Like we see it every time we are coaching. I see it in the workshops a lot, where somebody's mindset is the barrier that is stopping them from doing what they want to do, knowing what they should do, but don't do it. Or do it, but twist something so that it is ineffective.
So I have a question, and I agree with you. I see that. I see it in myself. I see it in everybody too.
We're all victims to this. We are.
We are. So the foundation to that, like where does confidence sit here?
It's a huge one. I think we're all an accumulation of our past experiences. We all have attributed certain stories and meaning to an event. And in the last podcast, you mentioned, you might have, 9 or 10 different people seeing the same crime scene, and 9 or 10 people have a completely different recollection of what happened. And it's the same thing that happens in our lives. What we've attached a story to and what we have attached meaning to, that other person that we may have interacted with could have seen it completely differently. And the meaning that they attach to the exact same event could be completely different. Both are valid because it's how each person perceives the world. And so our confidence is either built or destroyed based on the meaning that we have chosen to place on a certain event. And it becomes an accumulation of all of these stories. The thing is, once we start to believe something, we're programmed to look for more and more evidence that will back that story up.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, it's almost like, when Janine talks about the black Ford theory, you decide you're going to buy a black Ford and all of a sudden you see them everywhere, right? Whereas before that decision, there weren't anywhere near as many on the road, if any. They didn't exist before, right? But now, because we've decided that's what we want, we now see it everywhere. And so I suppose an example of this is when I'm listening to phone calls and I've had one of our members say, oh my God, my clients, all they want is digital files, right? And then I listen to the call and I'm listening for when the client brings it up. And almost every time it was the photographer that insinuated it and brought it up and forced the client to think about that. But their story is, all my clients only want digital files. And when I play it back and I take just that section and play it back to that person, I usually have to play it 5 times before they hear it for the first time. Because even in their head, they're hearing that the client asked for it. Right?
Yeah.
They didn't hear themselves talk about the fact that they wanted files. And so I suppose that's kind of an example of the mindset when you're going into something. We tend to look for things, and sometimes the clients what they say might lead you to believe that that's what they're saying because you're looking for it.
Yeah.
But when you take that section and you listen to it again and again and again, they're like, I never said that. I didn't say it. Like they're listening to a recording of their own voice and they're telling you it wasn't them on that recording saying that. And it's our beliefs. It's what we believe.
It's in everything, Steve. Like we never talk about politics or religion on this podcast, but in politics, like you see it all the time. You see, where people have made up their mind about something. That doesn't matter what the other side does, right? It can't be right, and vice versa, right? So it's I'm not taking anyone's side in this. I'm just saying that you see it in politics all the time, that it's ingrained in us that we don't. And I know I have to force myself because like I love macroeconomics and all that, and there's like as many different opinions on macroeconomics that disagree with each other. And I might align with one, but I force myself to listen to the other stuff with an open mind, because otherwise you can go down a rabbit hole, because we're easily led as humans, aren't we, down these rabbit holes?
And sometimes it's hard to hear the other side.
Yeah.
And hear it for what it is.
Yeah.
We were in the accountability pods a few weeks ago, and one of our members was sharing that she was really struggling to book people. People won't book, there's too much happening in the world. They're not interested. I'm trying to book people, but I just can't. I'm getting, I've got the leads. I'm getting through my leads, but I'm not booking anyone. And so I heard
you've been bold there with your getting through. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, I heard the word trying. I heard, this filter that she was seeing the clients through that they're not going to book. And I said to her, look, you say that you're trying to get through to the leads. What if instead of a lead, you believed that each one of those contacts was a potential client? What if you were contacting potential clients, not leads? What if your job was to excite them so much that they just wanted to book, rather than you trying to convince them to book? Now, I think she'd booked 2 clients for the month up to that point. And then she came back to the accountability pods in the inner circle for the following week. And she goes, oh my God, Steve, I took it on board. I now have potential clients that I'm going to excite. And she goes, I booked 13 people this week. Now, she was actually calling the same leads that she was trying to push them, and these were her words, trying to push them to book for a month. The same leads, right? But with a different mindset and a different perspective, the results were completely different. And she hasn't looked back since. She's consistently booking. And when she has a bad day, she sends me a message and said, I did it again. I have to remind myself of what you told me to get back into that space. And sales are the same. Bookings are the same. So many times when members say, I'm struggling to book, and you ask them, well, what's happening in your life? Something's happening in their life that, has put them into a negative mindset. It's never the clients.
Yeah, it's us. So sometimes, Steve, when we our members, and they bring these to us in inner circle, we have the conversations with them and we try and coach them through it. Like, how can I become more self-aware when that's happening? Like, how can I become more aware that my mindset's just not where it needs to be to excite, delight clients and where they want to come in?
Well, this is why when you guys were launching the engine, I was insistent and excited by the fact that you were adding call recording. And I think that sometimes we need to listen back. Kind of what we were talking about in the last podcast. We think we can sing, but we think we can sing like Whitney Houston, but can we? It's only when you listen back. And sometimes you need to get somebody else to listen back for you to bring in some perspective and some reality. And you've got to want to receive the feedback, and you've got to want to listen with the intention of growing and learning. Because sometimes a lot of people will send me if somebody sends me a call to listen to, you can tell in their voice that what they're looking for is for you to validate their belief that it's not them, it's the client. This client was never their client in the first place. All these stories that they tell themselves. The economy is affecting them. Politics is affecting them. And they're looking for that validation. But the reality, if you listen objectively, and I like to take on a mindset that I'm at cause, and I want to listen for what did I do to cause this client not to book, this client, whatever happened. What did I do that could potentially do that could cause that? And when you listen for that, it's amazing what you'll find. And so, when you're listening to the calls, and when you're saying, how do I become more self-aware? It's only when you're training yourself to listen and you train yourself to listen to the clients, listen back to your phone calls, do you start to hear the opportunities, and do you start to hear how you need to adapt to that person. And you have to train yourself to do that. Because I think a lot of the times we're trying to, rather than be at cause, which puts you in power, we want to be in blame, right? And we want to blame the client, blame the economy, blame whatever. But all of that's out of our control. And so if we can be at cause, then we can adapt and we can pivot. And no matter what happens, you're going to have a successful business. The number of studios we opened up in the last, financial crisis that were hugely successful because of the mindset because we took on the mindset that in all of this doom and gloom, people are now looking for something that's going to make them feel good. People are looking for that ray of sunshine. People are looking for somebody to see something in them nobody else has ever seen. And people are going to want this like a drug. And when we took that persona on, we were doing great sales and doing lots of bookings. Now, are there people that are suffering? Absolutely. Are there people that can't afford us? Absolutely. But we don't need a lot of clients to make a great living. But we need a great mindset.
So what I've heard is that we need to be open to ourselves in that we have to have that desire to improve ourselves and learn more and grow. Yeah. But often there's a lot of people who don't, Steve, that they reach a certain stage in life or in business, and I've been a photographer for 30 years, and I already know everything there is to know about photography, and they're closed-minded, like they don't want to continue to learn, and the world changes and evolves, right? So you've got to.
Yeah. Photography today is not photography 2 or 3 years ago. It's not photography 5 or 10 years ago or 30 years ago. It's an evolution, and we need to evolve. AI is not coming, it's here. And if we don't evolve quickly, then we're going to suffer. And, there's a whole mindset around that. We need to, be open to learning and becoming the best version of ourselves that we possibly can in order to thrive. Because we don't want to survive.
No.
There's no point in just surviving. You want to be thriving.
And that's the great thing about all of this, is that if you've got a mindset to consider other things and to consider ways of getting better by delivering more value to your clients, you have nothing to fear from AI. Absolutely zero. It's actually your friend. It can actually help you to become more productive, so you can spend more time focused on making a difference to your clients and bringing them value.
Less distraction. You've got more time to spend with the clients.
Yeah.
Now there's AI taking notes for us. There's tools that help us get through our retouching, which, I know a lot of people love spending time doing that, but the reality is that we're in the business of people, and we have to spend time, with people. I was talking to somebody at the last workshop, and I ran, sales workshop in Melbourne, and one of the attendees, she was telling me that she struggles at the end with the sale because she would never spend $2,000 on photos. But what she didn't realize was that when a client's looking at those photos and seeing their child up on that screen, they're not buying photos. What they're buying is a piece of that child that they want to hold on to forever. And when you begin to see that and believe that, then, again, this is mindset. Like, are they buying a frame? Are they buying a canvas? Like, somebody sitting there looking at a photograph of their child that has told you that this has been all they've ever wanted out of life, and they struggled. And this is an actual client, right? They struggled. Actually, let me tell you our story. We struggled for 7 years, lost 3 children to get to our first. And I rang to book a photography session, and I had my own studio. We could have done it in my studio, but I wanted to go to another photographer to be photographed and have somebody come and do it for us. I didn't realize how important a pregnancy photo was until I started explaining to the photographer what I wanted, because we were still in fear that even though we're at 8 months, this was not going to happen for us. And those photos weren't a box. They weren't a piece of paper. They weren't 75-year archival quality paper printed on whatever paper woven by unicorns in Italy. Right? That was Mary's dream. That was her only chance of being a mother. After being told 95% chance you will not fall pregnant, you will not go full term. That's what we're buying. We're buying that dream that right now, for now, that possibility, she's a mother right now. That child is alive in her and we are parents. Our biggest fear was we weren't, that there's still a chance that may not happen for us. And then when the child was born, having their newborn session, again, we're not buying paper. We're not buying a box. We're buying that soul of that child and those dreams that we have for that child. And being able to express that to a photographer, for them to be interested enough, because everybody wants to tell your story. The problem is nobody actually gets on the phone and asks you any questions about what is your story. They think they know what it is.
Yeah.
But when you get a chance to tell it and explain it, then that's what we're buying.
Yeah. And for someone to listen and understand and then help co-create with you the photos that are going to impact you every day.
That's priceless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that mindset, that perception of what are we really selling here? What is truly valuable to the client? Is it about what you would spend on photos? Because what a chef would spend on a meal, does every Ferrari salesman that sells Ferraris own their own Ferrari? Would they spend the money on that Ferrari? It's irrelevant, right? It's that person's dream. It's how that car makes them feel. How important that child is to them, that's what they're buying.
Yeah.
And it's not up to us to determine how much that's worth to that person. And we should never feel as though we're pushing, I'm going to put, I didn't push that. I just hate it when people say that. But did you offer them? Did you have the courtesy to offer them the chance to have this thing that they deserve to have? I didn't want to push them. No. You judged them and you didn't offer it to them and allowed them to make the decision as to whether they deserve to have that or not. You made that decision for them by believing I don't want to push them. And again, that's mindset.
And we've had so many members, Steve, who, having trained with you and the rest of the Difference Maker team, like they've gone through that transition and they didn't realize it. It's like the awareness thing again, they weren't aware that they were prejudging what this client can afford to spend.
Or they were too busy selling photos rather than realizing that what they were buying was their child's confidence or the connection that these two sisters have that they want to hold on to and hope that they will have that relationship forever.
Yeah.
That's what they're buying.
That's what they're buying. And we can't prejudge what somebody will want to spend on themselves to have that, right? So that's critical too. We see that too. We see members like even they get to a point where they realize that it's about the client and everything else, but they still then can't get beyond the prejudging what they're going to spend on that, you know.
But I think they're worried about what they're spending on me, the photographer.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality is clients aren't coming to you thinking, oh, I'm going to spend money on you, my photographer. They're spending money on their children. They're spending money on themselves. They're spending money on holding onto something forever, or surrounding themselves with something that they feel as though they could lose or have lost in the past, but you've helped them find it again.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
It is. It is. And often misunderstood. So, Steve, you know, this to get into the right mindset and to stay in the right mindset, right? And to be focused on the right thing. Our listeners, all they have to do is click on the link below and join the inner circle, right?
Yeah, because you want to surround yourself with like-minded people that are going to support you and applaud your success. And, you know, we have so many members that go out of their way to help other members in their own time, because there is abundance, and, you know, it's such a gift to be able to help someone.
It is. It is.
So yes, we got to surround ourselves with like-minded people. So join the community, and, you know, the inner circle is, you know, a place where, you know, we're there for our clients.
And we have an amazing workshop coming up in September called Empower. And Empower is the best, the only, in fact, in our industry, workshop that will help you and encourage you and motivate you and give you the confidence to have the right mindset to deliver invaluable, priceless experiences to your client. So go to the website, click on the workshop link, and sign up for Empower in Glasgow. Not only will you learn a whole load of things, you will make some great new friends. You'll have a bit of fun and crack as well. And you will leave Glasgow happier with life, happier with having more friends who understand you, happier and excited to make a difference to your clients. So we'll see you there.
Thank you. Great to talk to you, Ronan. Bye, everyone.